Hey everybody, I'm Debbie of MadameStitch, and I'm here to talk to you about the Blossom Square. So the Blossom Granny Square is designed by Agat of Made by Gootie, and it's the fifth square in the 2024 Granny Stitch Sampler Blanket. This gorgeous square will add a touch of the garden to your sampler blanket. I'm really excited about this one. So let me tell you just a little bit about the Blossom Square. So the Blossom Flower Granny Square was inspired by Agat's Daisy Granny Square pattern, which you can find on her website. She wanted to make a big floral granny square for this particular sampler blanket, so she decided to incorporate the center flower and then work a solid granny with a few rounds of the classic granny stitch around it. So that's where the granny stitch comes into this particular square. Then a round of half daisy flowers is added for some more texture. And I think it's a really nice touch in the middle of the green that she's chosen for her square for that flower, that partial flower to show up again. The square can be made in one color, which Agat says is possible, rather than the three colors that are used in her sample and in my sample. But I think the different colors bring out the beautiful design elements that make the square look like a blossom. So here are some tips for working this square. The Blossom Square is an intermediate level project because of the variety of techniques and stitches used. So if you are an advanced beginner, make sure that you read through the pattern and identify the places you're unfamiliar with. So for an advanced beginner, there might be a few more stitches that you've never worked before. For an intermediate level crocheter, you may have been familiar with them, but just make sure that you read through the pattern and check out the helpful photos that Agat has put on there to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Review the stitches that are new to you and mark them so that when you come to them, you're able to identify them quickly. Um, I would even um, I would even suggest that maybe you want to practice them. Just get yourself some scrap yarn and practice some of the stitches that you don't know so that when it comes time to use them in the square, you've already made them. As I said, Agat has helpful photos at key points to help you with making the stitches and with stitch placement. So pay close attention to those spots. And most important of all, is check your gauge so your square comes out the correct size. The stitches in this square tend to be a little tighter than usual, so make sure that you don't get too loose. And if you find that, I think her gauge is rounds 1 through 4, measure across would be 4 inches. If you get to that point and it's a little bit big, go back and do it with a smaller hook and just try not to pull up. I don't know if you know the golden loop or not, but when you insert your hook and pull up a loop, that very first loop that you pull up is called the golden loop. If you pull it up high, your stitch is taller. If you pull it up just enough that your hook can go back and forth in it easily, then your stitch will be shorter. So in this particular square, I think your golden loop needs to be a little bit shorter especially for those double crochets. But check your gauge after round 4, just measure across and make sure it's not bigger than 4 inches because you will end up with a square that's way too big if you're not careful. All right, that's it for that. The Blossom Square is a wonderful addition to my Granny Stitch sampler blanket. I'm so glad we have it because it's such a beautiful square. You'll really enjoy watching the flower blossom as you work the square. And don't forget to check out Agat's website, Made by Gootie, for more fabulous designs and projects. So that's it for the square. Have fun making it and enjoy. Bye, everybody.